Thank you for joining the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities monthly informational webinar. Strengthen your strategic plan, how to review and revise your plan to meet program goals. My name is Drew Andrews. I'm the Assistant Director and Technical Assistance Coordinator here at the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities. Our presenter today is Alycia Sterenberg at Western Michigan University. Handouts can be downloaded from the chat section, which will be, you can access through going to the chat icon at the bottom of your Zoom window. And also this webinar is being recorded. If you have any difficulty hearing the presentation, phone numbers that you can use to call in and join via phone have been posted in the chat box also. We're glad you were able to join us today. And at this time, I'm going to turn things over to Alycia. Alycia?
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. I'm so excited to be here this afternoon and share with you how to review your feedback that was given to you on your strategic plans created last November, and also share with you how you can revise your plans today and maybe throughout the next couple of days in order to meet your program goals. So the purpose of this webinar is fourfold. The first is to continue to increase your knowledge of technically sound elements. And then the next is to also increase your development of your technically sound plans. And from increasing your knowledge and increasing the development of your plans, this will in turn help you to have an increase in achieving your goals at the end of the year, as well as have an increase in the likelihood of getting good results. So for today's agenda, it's pretty jam-packed, but we're gonna kind of squeeze it all in there. The first thing that we're gonna do is review what technical soundness is, and also review the importance of technical soundness. Then I'm going to share with you some wins today and give you an overview of all of the hard work that you've been doing in your current FPCTP plans, share with you areas in which you all have improved from the 2021 planning year, share with you strengths of your current FPCTP plans, and share with you areas for continued improvement. Then we're going to pull out those technical soundness rubrics, and I'm going to show how to get those on the online strategic planning tool. And we're going to review each of those technical soundness components. And so we'll provide you with examples from beginning to end and allow you time to look at the feedback that was given to you. And then we will provide you time to work on your plan with assistance so that you can hop into the tool, revise them with the last maybe 10 to 15 minutes of the webinar today, and then also provide you with an opportunity to ask questions while you have me on the call, along with Janice and Drew and Iris and Claudia. And then the last 5 minutes of our time here together, I'm going to share with you a brief overview of how you can do your mid-year progress report. All right, so where are we at in this continuous improvement model? So last November, you gathered as a team to assess the evidence of current practices that you had, and then you created a yearly plan and developed a whole task list of how you were going to collect data in order to meet your outcomes for the end of the year. Now you're in that little yellow box where you're executing your yearly plan and you're starting to collect data. And so while you're doing this, it also provides us an opportunity to look back at the plans that you all created and also look forward to how you are going to evaluate your outcomes come June. And how we can do that is through the technical soundness rubric. So this is a tool used to evaluate and also share with you ways in which you can improve your strategic plans. And this will help you reach your goals by June 2020. And why this is so important is that Dr. Gothberg and Dr. Kohler in 2016 had a question of whether the quality of strategic plans mattered in completing team goals at the end of the year. And so they presented this at AERA in 2018, and the results were statistically significant at a p-value of 0.0002. And what they noticed is that plans with higher ratings of technical soundness, or in other words, higher ratings of quality, they were more likely to reach their goals. And this is important as we look towards you all as program improvement, and you also look towards the outcomes for your students and the center's outcomes and long-term goals for your programs. So what is a technically sound plan? It includes a goal that you have addressed as a team is a need for your program. It is also linked to an evidence-based or promising practice, which is provided by the center through all those domains and all those benchmarks that you assessed. And it is also related to an intended outcome or change that you wish to see at the end of the year. A technically sound plan also articulates the linkage between that goal and outcomes. So it articulates how you're going to go about that through a list of tasks. It articulates the people responsible on your team for completing those tasks. And it articulates that projected completion date and the outputs or the results that you would get from completing those tasks. And that in turn allows that linkage to the anticipated outcomes of your annual goal. And by establishing that goal as a team, establishing that outcome, this in turn provides you an accountability framework for which you as a team can plan for a sound evaluation and have useful results at the end. All right, so where are you at sharing some wins? What are you all working towards? So I had downloaded all the plans from November 2021, and of the 19 teams, each team had a plan within their online strategic planning tool. So all 19 teams had at least one plan. There were a total of 61 plans in the tool, and this is the spread across the different domains. So 19 plans were in the student focus domain. 11 plans were in the faculty and staff focus domain. 27 plans were in the program and institution focus domain. And then 4 were in the concept and systems development domain. Looking back to the 2021 plans, there were a total of 58. So about the same, 58 to 61. But we're not necessarily looking at the quantity of plans in the tool. We're instead looking at the quality. So how we can do that is look at the number of completed plans. So completed plans means that teams had a goal. In addition to that, they also put down the tasks all the way down to their outcomes, indicators, and data sources. And then an incomplete plan, which would mean that maybe teams didn't get to those outcomes or indicators or data sources. So of the 61 plans this year, 53 of the plans were complete, which is an increase from a 38 of completed plans last year. In addition, we had a decrease of the number of incomplete plans. So last year, there were a total of 13 out of the 58 were incomplete. And this year, only 2 plans were incomplete, which is fantastic. Now, over on the right-hand side here, the known plan started just indicates that maybe a team wrote a goal, but they did not start to go through the process of creating a task list and identifying their outcomes. So I put those off to the side just to separate them. All right, areas of strengths across all of your plans. 73% of your plans had a quality check of yes, meaning that you had goals linked to evidence-based practices and they were articulated as an outcome. So bravo to all of you. In addition to that, 73% of the plans indicated a yes in terms of quality for tasks. So there were a sufficient number of tasks listed in order to meet your goals. There was also an 84% of your plans had a quality check of yes for dates, which said that a date was specified for each of your tasks that you identified. And then last but not least, you all did really well in identifying data sources. So you identified where you were going to get that evidence to say that you progressed towards your outcome at the end of the year. And this was again at 73% of the plans. Areas for continued improvement, and this is where we're gonna actually focus on a little bit more today, would be the output section. Only 30% of the plans had a yes in terms of quality, where they met the quality check for outputs. Indicators and outcomes were around that 50%, and then person responsible was around that 60% in terms of quality. All right, so there's an overview of where we are at. For what we're gonna do the next probably 20, 25 minutes is really go through each of these components, go through the goals, identify some examples for you of where teams can improve, and give you some high quality examples as well. So what I want you to do first is actually go onto the online strategic planning tool and find your feedback. So this is on www.transitionprogramtool.org. I'll say that again, www.transitionprogramtool.org. And what you're going to do is log on to the online strategic planning tool and find your 2022 strategic plan. So after you log on, your 2022 plan should be at the top of all of your plans. And then when you click on that 2022 plan, it should automatically get you to what's called the dashboard page. And this dashboard page has a section called the document sharing section on the right-hand side. And under that is a folder called the Technical Soundness Quality Check Performed folder. So that is where you can find your Excel spreadsheet. While you all are finding your feedback, I just kind of want to give you an overview of what this Excel spreadsheet looks like. This is a great tool that we use because it actually auto populates all of the information that you put in last November. So it puts it into all of these boxes, and then an evaluator can come in and do those quality checks for each of those components and indicate, yes, this plan met quality. This plan partially met quality. No, it did not meet quality. And then an evaluator can provide you feedback in this box called how to improve quality. So maybe if you partially met it or did not meet it, you will then get feedback in this little box telling you how you can revise your plan. So what I would like you to do as we're going through each of these components today is really just pick one plan for you to look over during our time here together. So as we're going through the goal section, you can actually pull up, what did I write or what did we write as a team for our goals, and did we meet that quality? Same thing as we go through the task list, the outcomes section, so on and so forth. You will see at the bottom of your Excel spreadsheet that each sheet identifies a different plan. So if you only had one plan, then you will only have one sheet that has this rubric in it. If you had maybe 4 plans, then you would have 4 sheets in the Excel document. Great. So now we're going to go through all of these various components. Just as we talked about in our overview a little while ago, we're going to go through what makes a good goal, what makes a good task list, what are our outputs, how can we identify a person responsible for each of those tasks, the projected completion date, and the outcomes, indicators, and data sources. So what is the quality check for a goal? A goal is articulated as an outcome, not as a task, a output, or a product. So I've pulled some examples from your 2022 strategic plans, and I de-identified them so you don't have to feel under pressure of if you're being given the quality or not given the quality. But I just felt like this was a good opportunity to provide you examples from your peers of what meets quality and what did not. So here are some examples of goals that are articulating a change in something. Our students enroll in a program of study aligned with their goals developed through a person-centered planning process. So if we go back to our quality check, this is articulated as an outcome, not as a task for which you are doing as a team. Another example is to increase the number of work experiences off campus. Typically, where I indicate that the plan partially met quality or did not meet quality is when the goal is articulated as a task or an action item for which you all are going to do. So the first example would be to finalize a timeline, a job description, or training and recruitment plan. Or another is revising the curriculum to include more fundamental or entry-level course to support success in the FPCTP, or developing curriculum. So as you can see, these are all articulated as action items. You're going to finalize something, revise something, develop something. And when I have teams put this, I sometimes push them a little bit further to ask them why. Why are they finalizing a timeline? Why are they creating a job description? What is the purpose of revising the curriculum or developing a curriculum? And that can sometimes get you to your intended goal. So maybe to increase blank, that's why we are going to develop this curriculum. To improve blank, to make a gain in blank, we are going to revise this curriculum or finalize this timeline. And hopefully that's helpful as you revise this component. For tasks, we want to make sure that your tasks are sufficient to accomplishing your goal. And so I pulled two examples from the plans this year. One is a task list that met quality and one is a task list that did not meet quality. First one is an example that met quality on the left of teams gathering samples for a family and parent handbook. They're going to review those samples, develop a draft family parent handbook. All the way down to step number 7 is to utilize the handbook and share that with parents and families. So on the right-hand side is the task list that did not meet quality. The task list was to contact employers and campus departments, explore contracted services, and learn more about work-study options. And this is actually a great start to a great task list. And that was the feedback that I gave them. So this is a great start. However, the team's goal was to increase enrollment in internships. So I wanted to ask the team to add more tasks to get from conversations, to get from contacting and exploring and learning, to actually getting to enrollment, to having students being enrolled in the internships. And then this is the output section. So the outputs are tangible products that are identified for each of your tasks that you listed. So this should be a 1-to-1 ratio. If you listed 7 tasks, then you should also identify 7 outputs. Here's an example of an output list that met quality. This team said that they would survey students to see if accommodations were provided. They were also going to survey students to see if they felt supported in their program. They were going to monitor attendance and grades and provide additional assistance to students who were struggling. So the output of having a survey is the data from the survey. Again, for number 2, the output of having a survey for the students to see if they were reported The output is again the data from the survey. If you were to monitor attendance and grades, your output would be the reports of those attendance and those grades. For providing additional assistance, the output was a student case specialist schedule logs for one-to-one meetings with those students. So really think about those tangible and sometimes electronic ways that we can say, yes, we completed this task. Here is the output from completing this task. Here's an example of a plan that did not meet the quality or probably partially met it. So the task list was to collaborate with an individual to create and disseminate instructional practice findings, then develop a summary template and a newsletter template, and then write that summary. The output from this task list was a dissemination of newsletters. And I would actually suggest that this is maybe possibly another task that you can put under this left-hand side. So after you write a summary, then you disseminate maybe those newsletters monthly. And instead, in order to improve quality, that you identify a one-to-one ratio. So what is the output from collaborating with another person? What is the output from developing templates? My assumption would be the templates themselves. What is the output from writing a summary? Again, probably the summary itself. What is the output from disseminating newsletters? Potentially 12 newsletters throughout the year to your parents and faculty. All right, for the person responsible, this is something that teams sometimes get confused on, but it is a specific team member's name. A team member's name or team member's title that is identified for each of the tasks. And why we want a team member is so that you are sharing ownership of the plan as a team. So you can have one person kind of lead a certain number of tasks or maybe a group of tasks, and then another team member is maybe has more strengths in another area, so they're heading those tasks. And together at the end of the year, you meet up and you say, yes, I completed those tasks, or no, I did not. And so what we really want to see are team members' names. And I didn't pull team members' names from your plan, so I just indicated Janice and Drew and Iris, and or a specific title of an individual. So this could be an assistant director, or maybe you're hiring someone new and you can put new hire here in their plan title. What we don't want to see is a very general list of the team will complete it, or everyone will complete it, or maybe a specific department will complete it. This doesn't get down to the nitty-gritty details of, okay, we have this task list, but who's actually going to do it? Who's actually going to lead our team and hold our team accountable for completing that task? And so if you received a partial or a no as you're looking through your feedback, I probably gave you a prompt of who on your team is going to hold your team accountable for completing each task. For the projected completion date, this is hopefully self-explanatory, but really a date is specified for the completion of each of your tasks. And so, again, while I was doing the quality check for these plans, 84% of the plans met quality. So this isn't a really high concern, but maybe why I indicated partially or not met was that there were no dates listed for every single task, or sometimes teams actually carry their plans forward in the coming year, but they don't go back and change the dates for this current academic year. So you may want to look at that and say, oh, did we accidentally put a 2021 date in there? The other thing that I want teams to think about, and this isn't something that I evaluate because you as teams know yourselves best, but I also want you to think about your projected completion dates and if they're feasible for you to complete. You know, throughout the academic year, we have changes of when we're exceptionally busy and maybe when we're a little bit less busy. And so, you know, those times of year where maybe it's not feasible to get everything done that you had intended. So look at those independently and just think through, okay, can we actually complete this in the next 2 weeks? Or do we need to push this back? All right, for the outcome section, this shows up in your online strategic planning tool with these 3 boxes side by side. So there should be a 1-to-1 ratio with the expected outcomes to the indicators listed to the data sources. So outcomes are articulated as a change in something. This is your change that you wish to see at the end of the year from completing all of your tasks. So this can be a change in knowledge. This can be a change in behavior that you wish to see. This can be a change in condition that you wish to see. And here are some examples. On the left-hand side, these are the plans that met quality. So to increase enrollment to 8 students by the beginning of the 2022-2023 school year. An increase in the number of students who will demonstrate self-determination skills in the courses and other campus activities. An increase in the number of students who are matched to employment opportunities which tie to their career goals. So as you can see, these are a change in something that you can measure. Students are matched. Students demonstrate self-determination skills that you can measure throughout the year and take data on. And then come June 2022, you're getting all that data together and you're saying, okay, did we meet this outcome that we intended to meet at the end of the year? Teams or plans that did not meet quality, some examples are on the right-hand side. So at least 2 presentations accepted for PD training. Again, this is a good kind of internal goal for you to have as a team, but this doesn't get to your outcome. So again, as if I was facilitating this team, I would say, hey, why do you want at least 2 presentations? What is your intended outcome from having these 2 PD presentations? My assumption is that you want to change knowledge in something. You want to increase knowledge in blank. Maybe faculty doing PD, maybe staff. The next example is to investigate college data mentioned about employment after college. Again, same thing. I would ask teams, what is your why? What is your purpose behind investigating that college data? My thoughts around this would be maybe just to get a baseline about what data you have and to maybe increase those numbers for employment later. Last example is use data from pilot study to make final revisions to the research tool. Again, I would ask, why are you creating that research tool? By creating that research tool, what is your intended outcome? What is the intended change that you wish to see? Is it in knowledge? Is it in behavior? Is it in condition? And then we get to the indicators. So your indicators are units of measurement that identify progress towards your outcome. So these are numbers, percentages, scores. It could be, I have an example on the next slide of like a yes or no. So here are some examples of where plans met quality in terms of the indicator. The first one is that students will find a program suited to their needs, interests, and abilities. And this team is going to have an indicator that 100% of their students will have an interest inventory that leads to enrollment. So you're going to measure the percentage of students that have a program suited for their interests by the number of students who have an interest inventory that leads to enrollment. Second example, students successfully complete their program. This plan is going to measure that by the number of students who complete their program of study, or the percentage of students who complete their program of study. Here's an example of a yes or no. To have an approved CTP, will have sufficient resources for startup costs. So this is a yes or no. We have sufficient resources for startup costs, or we do not have sufficient resources for startup costs. And this is by having an approved FCSUA grant application. Some examples where indicators did not meet quality. The first outcome or example is that student-reported assessment, a self-determination follows a trend of improvement. And the indicator was the student progress as documented. And so, though this still articulates that change that you're wishing to see and doesn't really get to the unit of measurement. So this could potentially be the average scores or the pre-test and post-test scores on that assessment. Second example, students determine how parents and family members are engaged. And the indicator was the number of parents completing the handbook overview. This is a great example in which the team listed an indicator, which is awesome, but it doesn't quite align with the outcome that they wish or that they intend to change. So the outcome states that students determine how parents and family members are engaged. However, the indicator is looking at the change, or they're measuring the parents. They're measuring the number of parents completing the handbook overview. So if you are this team and you're looking to revise, I would suggest you either revise the outcome to state the change you wish to see in the parents, or you revise the indicator to determine how you are going to measure students and how they're engaged, how they determine how their parents and family members are engaged. Same thing with the third example. If you're wishing to increase faculty's ability to evaluate learning outcomes for audited students, yet the indicator is the percentage of students who have a signed contract with each of their courses faculty. The outcome is saying that you want to measure an increase in faculty's ability. However, the indicator is measuring the student. So again, either revising the outcome so that it aligns with the indicator, or revising the indicator so it aligns with the outcome. All right, and then data sources. So this is the last component of the outcome section. And this is identifying sources that provide evidence of your progress towards the outcome. So here are some examples of plans that met quality. If I'm looking at the number or percentage of students who meet their program of study, my data source for where I'm going to get that is student transcripts. If I'm going to look at an indicator of the number or percentage of students completing a satisfaction survey, where am I going to get that data? I'm going to get it from a student satisfaction survey. If I'm looking at the number of attendees at the FPCTP PD event, then where am I going to get that data? I'm going to get that data from a participant list of those who attended that PD event. Some examples of where the plans did not meet quality. So the first one was that this plan wanted to enroll at least 10 students. That was their indicator. However, their data source was the number of enrollees. I would actually say that this is more of an indicator, the number of enrollees, and instead think about where are you going to get that number? Where are you going to find that you enrolled at least 10 students? Next example, number of students enrolled in the data source was course attendance. Again, I would argue that you probably wouldn't get enrollment data from course attendance. I would assume that's coming from maybe a registrar. And then the percentage of students earning a mini credential, and the data source is a teacher evaluation. So thinking through, okay, where am I going to get the percentage of students? Maybe we have a database of our own as a program. Maybe we have the number of students who graduated or earned that credential. Where am I going to get it? So if you had a partial or a no in terms of quality for data sources, I probably indicated a question for you of what data source are you going to use to indicate that change? Where are you going to find that number? Where are you going to find that percentage? Where are you going to find that yes or no statement that you have an approved FCSUA grant, supplementary grant, so on and so forth? And then the last thing that we look at is just the overall quality of the plan. And is there enough detail in this plan for someone outside the team to implement it? And really what we're looking for is that if an outsider can take your plan and complete it from beginning to end and know what your team's doing, this actually increases the sustainability of your program. So we know that turnover happens. We know that jobs change and people's lives change. And so if you have that turnover, then the next person can grab this plan and say, hey, I know how to implement it. I know how to improve this program and where this current team left off and where I am going to now continue. All right, so with that being said, are there any specific questions on the various components from the technical soundness quality check, from the technical soundness rubric?
Hopefully, most of you have been able to access your strategic plan to locate your technical soundness report. If not, it is in the strategic plan, not in the FCSUA community. So remember that the strategic plan, when you work with the Institute, that's where you're located and it's been uploaded. So some good feedback in there.
Are there any components that are confusing or that you would like more examples for?
If anyone would like to, you can unmute your microphone or you can type in the chat box. And I see that we have one comment that, you know, could facilitators be given this presentation? Definitely, this is going to be a presentation that we're sharing with all of our team facilitators so that they are better prepared to help guide you through this process. So yes, exactly. Thank you for that. We also, I see someone who would like that. All of our webinars are recorded, and by tomorrow afternoon, we will have that recording on our YouTube channel, and you'll receive a link to that recording as well as the evaluation. And so there'll be, you'll have your own a recording of this that you can review and watch again or share with your team. And I see that Doug has his hand up. So yes, Doug.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. I have my quality check open in front of me, and we're looking pretty good here. We seem to have almost everything okay, but under our student goal strategy A, we have, let's see, is it? No, that one's all good. So let me, faculties. Now I'm seeing something different than I did just a minute ago. And let me see if I can find it. We had something about our this should be our student goal, partially. Okay, scored protocols for the ARC self-determination scale. And we got this one marked down as partially, and it says identify an output for each of the tasks listed above. And I'm a little concerned at what would the output be other than that they do the we do.
Right. Okay, good question.
Yeah, because it'll answer one of my boxes.
For sure. So my question, because I don't have your plan pulled up right in front of me, is how many tasks do you have listed above?
Let me, I'm shooting back and forth between that. Now I'm looking at quality check. I have one goal. Okay, tasks. Select, yep. We have 4 of them: selecting appropriate instrument, scheduling administration, add administration to the agendas for future orientations, and scheduling a final administration. And yep. And then what we have then underneath the tasks is the output, the scored protocols.
Yes. So to improve, yes, you got a partially, because partially you indicated one output from a list of 4 tasks. To improve your quality, I would push you and say, what is the output from task 1? What is the output from task 2, 3, and 4, so on and so forth?
I guess our task then, because our first task was to select an instrument, and then the second one was, we had already selected the instrument. It's the ARC self-determination scale. And then the last 2 are administering them, the ARC self-determination, and scheduling a final administration.
Yep. So from thinking about, I think the next one was exploring an assessment, right? So the output from exploring or finding which one you would use would be the title or the assessment that you're intending on using. And then, yes, as you're moving through, I think it's scheduling an initial assessment and then scheduling a post-test assessment. So the output or the tangible product of completing that first assessment, that initial assessment, would be those pre-test scores. And then your follow-up or the post-test would be those post-test scores. So it's going past just identifying one output and instead identifying 4 outputs that are aligned specifically to each of the tasks that you're indicating.
I gotcha. Now then there's a technical problem, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I can do that. When I'm trying to move from line 1 to put a 2, if I get the cursor at end of line 1 and I hit the enter, it takes me down to persons responsible. So it's not allowing me.
Yes, great. This gets into my next segment for about 10 minutes. So before I do that, I wanted to share a win with you all. So of course, coming out of an evaluation and research and measurement program, we align scores and quantitative values to things that we're looking at. And so in the 2021 plans, the average score for technical soundness, or the average quality of a plan, was about 58.33. And then looking at the average quality of all plans from 2022, the average score was 75.76. So an increase of almost 18 points. And I'm getting a thing in my ear saying my earbuds are dead. So I'll switch here in a second. But an increase of 18 points over all of the plans that were put into the tool. And then for the completed plans, so all of those different values, when they completed the goal, the tasks, the outcomes, indicator data sources, all the way to the end, there was an increase of 12 points about. So from 65.35 to 77.36. So that's awesome, and definitely a win that you all can celebrate. Is that you all are improving in the quality of your plans. And I definitely look forward to all that you are working on right now and all that you are going to complete come June 2022. With that being said, I want to get back to Doug's question of how to make revisions. So you can't make revisions within that Excel document. Instead,
No, I got it. I figured it out. I need to go back into the website, which I've closed once I downloaded. No, I figured that out. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to go through it for everyone, in order to make revisions, you need to log back into the online strategic planning tool and go to step number 3, which is make a plan. And then you're going to click on the show goals for every benchmark that you decided to create a plan on, and click on edit plan. So just to give you a visual, once you log into that online strategic planning tool, you're going to go under step 3, make a plan. Under that step 3, you're going to click show goals, and this has a button for every single goal or domain area that you put a goal in. And then what you're going to do is click that green button and say edit this plan, and that will allow you to revise and make the changes that you need. And so I want to open this time up for a few minutes for you to actually go into your tool. Again, kind of troubleshoot any technical errors that may be happening behind the scenes that we're not aware of. And spend time digging into the feedback for which was given to you for one plan. And to look at that box on the right-hand side and say, how can I improve quality? And as you're doing that, again, feel free to, ask questions about your feedback, ask questions about why I may have indicated partially met or no, not met, so on and so forth.
Rama, do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I'm looking at the plan.
I have a question, Janice or Alyssa or Alycia, excuse me. When will this webinar be posted where we can watch it again? And where I find it?
Okay. Everyone that registered for the webinar will receive an email probably tomorrow afternoon that will have 2 links. One link will be to the YouTube version. That's where we post our webinars. And then it will be posted also on our website, where you can just go to events, to previous events, and then you'll see a list of all of the previous events. You'll see this webinar, and the handouts will also be right there. And you'll so those are 2 different ways that you can get back to this to be able to see it a second time.
Thanks, Drew.
You're welcome.
I know 10 minutes is a very short amount of time to reorient yourself to your plan and get back into the tool. But I'll probably allow about 3 more minutes for you to dig in. And again, this is hopefully just kind of to get you into your plans and help you get started. And then while you're doing that, if questions arise, then you can have immediate feedback from us. In addition to that, if you do have questions on your plan, feel free to reach out to the center, and I can provide more feedback onto why I gave a partial or no or yes, or explain my feedback a little bit more if it's unclear. All right. So with that being said, I definitely want to be mindful of your time here today. And so we have about 2 minutes left. And I want to give you just a brief overview of how to complete that mid-year progress report. So I believe it's next Monday, maybe Tuesday. Janice is going to email you all and kind of prompt you to fill out your progress report for the mid-year. The center is not doing a formal mid-year as they have done in past years. Instead, they are changing so that the PEPI is in July. And so the mid-year progress report is going to be done independently by US teams. And so I wanted to provide you just a really, really brief overview of how you can get into that step within the tool and provide you, I think there's like 10 slides after this slide for a step-by-step picture, so that if you need that visual, you have like 3 different visuals of how to do it. You'll have the recording afterward, you'll have my presentation slides so you can look at that visual, and then I'm actually going to take you into the tool now and show you how to do that. So let me stop sharing here, and then I will actually reshare. So what you're going to do is log on to the online strategic planning tool and go on to the post-secondary side of things. And it will come, it will take you to your dashboard, but I'm going to scroll down to a test plan. And then it will take you to your dashboard. So under here, this indicates that you're on your dashboard, and you're going to scroll down to step 4 of progress report or report progress and click on that. Then depending on the number of goals that you have, if you have 1, you'll have 1 plan to report your progress on. If you have 4, then you'll do 4 progress reports, and you'll click on that little green button again. And that will get you to the page that you can update your progress. So you can update the status of your goal by using these little radio buttons here. You can update the status of each of your tasks, whether they're fully, partially completed, or not started. And if you would like to revise, continue, and drop the task, and then provide an explanation. Same thing with outputs. Mark the status, indicate the next steps that you would like to complete, and provide an explanation. Indicate how you're going about your outcome section. So how is data collection going? Is it complete, underway, not started, and provide an explanation. Indicate yes or no if you needed additional stakeholders, additional resources, or additional technical assistance. And then also indicate if you've encountered any barriers while implementing this plan this year, yes or no, and an explanation of why. Click save and go, and this will bring you back to your page in which you can update your next plan. So again, very brief overview, but I wanted to provide multiple avenues for you all as you're going about updating that progress report. And with that, I thank you so much for your time this afternoon and your work this year with all your plans. I am really excited to look forward to July and seeing what all you have accomplished. So thank you.
Alycia, that was awesome. Thank you. And I know the all of the programs will look forward to seeing the video again, kind of pause it and be able to review their technical soundness reports and look at ways they can edit their plans. I think that's going to be helpful. Program directors and staff, I do want to emphasize that the facilitators, as Alycia mentioned earlier, The facilitators are also going to reach out to you. I'll include that information in the email next week to work with you on editing your plan and doing your progress report. So those of you who are new to the process, that is something that we want to assure you that that's in place. And again, because we're not doing our mid-year in January, and for many of you know that our cycle has changed, that we want to make sure you have your progress report before you get to the Institute in July. And our facilitators will be prepared to help you do that. Drew?
Well, we would like to thank you for joining us this afternoon. I hope that the sun's shining where you are. It's definitely a dreary day here in Orlando today. But thank you so much, Alycia, for sharing this. I don't even know how to describe invaluable information, and you presented it so well. And if you have questions, as I said, you'll have a link to this webinar. It'll be on YouTube, and all of our webinars from the past 5 years are all on our YouTube channel. So you can search that by just searching Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities on YouTube, and they're all identified that way. Or we can help you find specific webinars if you know that there's one that you'd like to share with new staff members, or simply to review, which is one of the things that I sometimes do. So thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you all in July. At any time that you have questions or need support when looking at your planning tool, please reach out to us. That's why we're here. We're always happy to help. And Alycia is available to help out too, if there's a question that we have difficulty with. And as you certainly have observed, she's a professional in this area and can help you through this process, because we all know that you want good plans and we want you to have successful programs. Are there any questions before we end the webinar?
The evaluation tool, the evaluation for this webinar is in the chat box. So you can click on that link and complete the evaluation now. You will also get it again once the recording has been rendered and edited. So we definitely like your feedback. It helps guide us for our additional professional development in institutes.
Right.